This is Dr. Quinlan with Quinlan Chiropractic Clinic from Coppell, Texas, and you're listening to the Dunham Business Radio Show.
Hi there, this is Lori Dunham with Dunham Business Radio. We won the 2019 Gray Bowl Show of the Year. We also got an award for community service, and I can't thank you enough for all of your support. We are on the next level, and we're going higher, and I can't do it without you, and I'm so grateful. Thank you so much, and stay tuned in.
Live from Arlington, Texas, it's the Dunham Business Radio Show. And here's your host, Lori Dunham.
I am your host, Lori Dunham. Thank you so much for joining in. We're really excited that you're here. Man, today's guest is going to just blow your mind, right? So get ready, because man, you want to talk about brain power. This lady knows all about it, and super excited to have her on the show. But hey, before we get started, please remember there's time. Go ahead and ping your friends, send them an email, a text, send up a smoke signal, because you want people to join in on this conversation. Today's guest is great, so there's still time. So let your friends know everything. Also remember, if you want to be a guest on the show, send us an email at DunhamBusinessRadio.com, and I'm sorry, DunhamBusinessRadio@gmail.com, and we will be delighted to consider you for the show. We've got a lot of really great things coming up in the near future, and you want to be a part of it. Let me just give you that little hint right there. You don't want to miss out on what we've got coming up in the very near future. So send your information over to DunhamBusinessRadio@gmail.com. We would love to have you here. So we have another first to present for you today. As you know, Dunham Business Radio launched the International Summer Campaign, where we invited young folks from around the world to co-host with us on the show. Our co-host today, she's actually here in the Austin, Texas area, and she's extremely young at heart, great attitude, and actually has a lot to offer in regards to this conversation. And I couldn't be more excited to bring on our co-host for today, Imani Simmons. And she is just amazing. You're going to love her. So please welcome to the show, Imani Simmons. Hello.
Hi, thank you so much for allowing me to be on this blessing of a show. I appreciate you so much.
So I'm really glad you're here. So you're new to the co-hosting side of things. You were recently a guest, and we hit it off so well that I invited you to come and be a co-host. So for everybody that doesn't know you yet and how awesome you are, please tell everybody a little bit about yourself. What do you do, and why in the world are you choosing to join this crazy circus to be a co-host with me?
Well, this crazy circus is the most fun that I've had in a long time, so I was very happy to come back to the circus. I am owner of Powerful Brain Coaching. I use brain training techniques with NLP for fast, lasting results. Of course, I am my own product, so I've used everything on myself as well as my family members. And we just had these really lasting impact of getting more emotional control, which is really important, and learning to control our brain. I think you and I have already touched on this a bit about how meditation has been a big game changer. And so if nothing else, I like to joke that I'm a big meditation, basically like a campaign to meditate for everybody. Meditate, your whole life will change for the better, I swear. And I'm just so grateful to be here with you. And I think you know how excited I am for Sherry, Miss Sherry Yellin. And I love it because she told us a story about how the L's, people mixed it up And then because I heard that story, I think my brain worked like that. So
Oh, no.
I'm just so excited to be here. This conversation is the highlight of my month. So yes,
Let's
so
do it.
excited.
Let's do it. Let's jump in. And so just so you know, if you need another guinea pig to try out any of your launch products, sign me up. I'd like to try that NLP, see what the outcome is for me. I'll give a video testimonial about it for you.
You know I want to play with you all that I possibly can, Lori. So yes, of course.
Well, hey, let's not keep her in the wings any longer. Super excited to bring on our guest. She is, oh man, she's gonna light up your world. I hope you're ready. So our guest today, she is crazy passionate about how the brain works. Essentially, her God-given message is to share with the world as if we can lead, live, and learn the way the brain learns best, which makes total sense, right?
Yes.
And so by doing so, we will get better results with less effort, and we're going to have a lot more fun doing it. And you know, here on the show, I've always said, if we're not having fun, we're doing it wrong.
That's right.
So our guest today, Sherry Yellin, she wrote a book focused on this concept, on the concept of learning, leading, teaching, and living, and how it works. Our current system works against the way the brain learns best, and it causes all sorts of unnecessary stresses and problems, and that can impact generations. So to help her fellow humans, she helped design and deliver leadership programs. She provides executive coaching, and she helps other people and organizations design learning solutions based on how the brain learns best. And so to share more about this, along with many lessons she's learned over her 20 years in business, please help me welcome to the show, Sherry Yellin, everyone.
So excited to be here.
Hello.
What a great day.
Thank you so much for being here. We are super excited. So let's just jump right in, okay? If it's all right with you, let everybody know who you are, what you do real quick, and how in the world did you get started in this area of business?
Okay, well, it's so exciting because starting in August, we are entering into our 20th year. So I started my business about 20 years ago, and it really all started when I was mentioning before we jumped on, I wanted to be a college English teacher until I became a college English teacher. So the thought of grading 5-paragraph essays for the rest of my life was not as appealing as I thought it would be. But a friend of mine who was also named Sherry, oddly enough, was starting a workplace education program at AT&T. So that's a long time ago. So putting us where we are in history, AT&T at that time, still big spools of copper cable in manufacturing environment. I took the job mainly because it paid more money than the university, which was not hard to do at the time, but mainly because I didn't have to grade 5-paragraph essays. Really didn't know what I was getting into. And that's what I love about life, right? And I love about the journey is serendipity is one of my favorite words. And it definitely was that kind of experience. I started in this workplace education program, was working with manufacturing employees who's really struggled to learn basic literacy skills. Hadn't been working with them very long when I just had this overwhelming urge to turn them over, unscrew the lid and go, what is going on in there? How does the brain learn? So at that time, I'm finishing up a master's in English and headed into a PhD in English. I thought I'd just call up one of my professors and they could tell me. And little did I know that I was really kind of getting a front row seat to an explosion of information about how the brain learns. We're still trying to discover that. I mean, we've learned a lot, obviously, but we still have so much more to learn. But what I did find very quickly in my studies and in the work that I was doing there, that what we did know was so practical, that this 3-pound bad boy right here is the greatest piece of equipment on the planet. And most of us know more about how our iPhones work than we know about how our brains work. And the reality is, if we can work with how the brain works best, we really can get better results with a lot less effort. And when we work against how our brains work best, we will always struggle. There will be unnecessary costs and frustrations. And it's true, it could take generations to clean up the mess. And so that's my life's calling. And it's really cool because there are really two sides to our business. One is leadership development, which I think is so impactful because leaders have such an impact on so many different people. But then I also work with new coaches and entrepreneurs to help them to design learning programs that will grow their business because they get results. It's all about results. And so I can honestly say for the last 20 years, I'm not sure I worked a day in my life because I love it so much. And I get to work with really high performing people. But at the core of everything, it's really working with how our brains were designed to work best. So that's just kind of in a nutshell how I got to where I am today.
That's amazing. And so you took all of this, you put it into a book, right? What I see the picture behind you, that's the brain tree. That's the color, the picture that's on the cover of your book, right?
Yeah, so this is the coolest story because I wrote the book. In fact, somebody asked me, how long did it take you to write that book? And I said, about 20 years. I mean, because it's been in me this whole time. And these are the principles. We teach 7 principles. It actually spells the word cranium. And I wanted to really flesh that out for people. And so the book is Unforgettable Leadership, 7 Principles to Leading, Learning, and Living the Way the Brain Learns Best. But so as we're finishing up, if you've ever gone through that process, as you kind of finish up this process, then you have a team that puts in front of you some different artwork of what might go on the book. And when I saw this image, it was absolutely what had to go on the book, because when I started this company 20 years ago, I really did leave my dream job. I had a fabulous job as a director of training and development at a fabulous organization, had a beautiful office, had a door. You know, at the time, that was really my definition of success, to move from the cube to an actual room. But anyway, I just had this inner calling. I had to move forward on my own. I think you're born an entrepreneur, and if that's the blood that's in your veins, I don't know that draw ever leaves you. And so when I left that dream job, it was my last day. Okay, so I've got to paint this picture because I love my dad with all my heart, and everything that he says carries so much weight. And I remember him coming to my house that morning and sitting on the back porch with me and having coffee. And he looked at me and he said, "I think you're making a big mistake."
Most parents would say that. Most parents would say that for sure. They want to protect you. They want to say the right thing. And
exactly. So when that was my last day on my dream job before I jumped off on my own. But as I left that day, one of my team members gave me a little card, and it had Matthew 17:20 written on it, which, if you know that verse, it's, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, nothing will be impossible for you. So when I saw a brain that also looked like a tree, it just made me think of that seed. And so yeah, that's in my office every day, just as a reminder of what we built this on. But the other thing that I love about it, in this whole idea of seeds, is I truly believe that ideas are like seeds. And the more we spread them, the more they grow. And it really is a way of going through life with this idea that the more people that we can help and grow and develop, we all benefit from it. And so it's really cool to work within a community that has the same kind of mindset. We're always just sharing with each other different things we're doing, what's working, what's not working. And so that's super exciting. I love working with the leaders that I get to work with. They are phenomenal, go-getter, high-performing people. But I also really love to help other coaches and entrepreneurs grow and learn from what I've learned, because I really do believe it's like seeds. I mean, let's just spread all the goodness, and then we all benefit from it. So that was a long way of talking about that picture, but it had to go on the book. When I saw it, it was just, there were no other options after that.
Yeah, no, it's an excellent picture, and of course this show's about you, so you can talk as much as you want about whatever, you know. We're here to support you, but I will say that you know, having this show has also allowed me to experience what you're talking about, you know, the ideas and learning from other people what's worked, what hasn't, and so that's where, you know, the brainchild for this show came from, is to be of service to other entrepreneurs and to give wisdom and hope, maybe even some inspiration to our audience who are,
Yes.
they're also entrepreneurial, you know, in spirit, if nothing else, you know.
Yes.
So having guests like you and guests and now a co-host like Imani coming on, you know, it's great, you know, it's really what it's all about. So I want to go back to something you said real quick, is that, you know, if you're an entrepreneur, it's in your blood, right? You can't really ever get away from it. And I have to say that my life is evidence of that. You know, I had my first business transaction when I was 5 years old. And for folks who've listened to the show for a while now, we've been doing this a year and a half. I've mentioned the story a couple of times in spattering, so I'll say it again. When I was 5 years old, I attempted to sell my mother's coffee table legs to our neighbor for $1. And so when I showed up at the front door, she was actually on the phone with my mother, and she said, "You're not going to believe who's at my front door. Don't worry, I'll send her home." And then she gave me $1, and she said, "Here's $1. Take those back to your mother before she has a heart attack." So
Great story.
It's my first business transaction. And I knew right then I was meant to be in business. I was meant to be an entrepreneur. I didn't know what they called it. I was 5, for heaven's sake, right? But now looking back over the last years, you know, I can say that, yeah, my life has been roller coaster, you know, corporate America, do my business, corporate America, do my business. And you know, if people are like me, have that experience, I mean, you can put a negative spin on it and say, man, every single time I try a business, I fail and I go crawling back to corporate America. Or you can say, you know what, every time I've been in corporate America, I've learned something new, developed a new skill, a new talent that now I can use in my business. And then I bring my business up, and now I need to go to corporate America, learn this. Thank you very much for the training. Back to my business. And the whole time you look at the business, it's doing this, you know, the whole time. Where corporate America, you're just here and then you're down. And then you're here and you're down. I'd rather this, right? Stair-stepping all the way up to success. And that's, you know, corporate America plays an amazing role in our society. I'm not dissing corporate America. It's just that I just don't fit that model, you know, for long term.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you know, I love what you're saying, because we talk about this a lot. Entrepreneurship is a mindset. Whether you own your business or you're working for someone at the moment, you're still running your own business. So whether, you know, it's official that it's your, I guess, shingle out there, or you are a leader in corporate America, it's still the same mindset. It's a mindset of find a way. We are find a way kind of people. And I truly believe that everybody should wake up every single day and think of themselves as self-employed. Because when you're self-employed, you're unemployed at the end of every day. So it is about being creative. It's about looking ahead, but you see the world differently. I remember one of my clients a couple of years ago gave me such a beautiful image of this. And he said, you know, when you walk into a restaurant, there are 2 groups of people. There are people that came there to be served, and there are people who walked in a different door usually that came to serve. And depending on which group you put yourself in, it changes everything about your experience. And if I could say one common theme that I see in the people, the really high performers that I coach, is they are entrepreneurs. Now, they may be working for this company right now, but it's still the same mindset. And so it's neat that you bring that up about yourself, because while you might have been here or you might have been there, your same mentality, your same mindset of walking through life, it was consistent across the board.
So thank you for that. That's like a confirmation, affirmation, all in one little nugget. So thank you for that. Because, you know, society wants to say, man, if you haven't been at a job for a long period of time, you haven't retired from it, got the gold watch, then you have not been a success. And I just challenge that. Of course I do. And I say, you know, you don't have to be at the same company for 1,000 years. I mean, you know, I would even say that recently I've gone back and looked, and I've had 2 jobs. Now I've been working since I was 13 years old. I've had 2 jobs that have lasted 3 years. 2. Yeah. All my other jobs have been a year or just over a year. And then there's something happens in my mind. Like the first year, I'm awesome. I'm a stellar employee. I'm on time. I usually get there early. I stay late. I'm helping my coworkers. I'm joined to projects that nobody else wants, you know, and my work ethic is, you know, through the roof, right? As soon as the 1-year mark comes, or the first time I recognize that I've been there longer than a year because I'm having so much fun, but then I realize, oh man, I've been here over a year, or wow, I've made it to the 2-year mark, woohoo, right? All of a sudden, that next morning I wake up, I'm late for work. I'm late coming back from lunch. I don't stay late to finish a project. My performance and my quality of work never changes. But my patience with my team workers, my teamwork, my, you know, team players, whatever, my teammates, I don't care anymore. I'm like, haven't I told you that 1,000 times? How many times do I have to tell you, push that button when you're done, you know? And I get impatient, you know? And so, you know, this is going to go out on the internet. So I'm basically burning the boats right now. I'll never be another employee. I mean, this is it for me, right?
You know, what you're saying is such a great example, because now you're so aware of that. You know that your brain is fueled by solving big problems and challenges. Like if they made a breakfast cereal named Problems and Challenges, that's what you would grab in the morning. And so you know that that's how you're wired. And the sooner we can learn that about our brains, for example, some people not so much. Some people are really wired to get fueled by execution, by, you know, implementation. Some of us, I always say there's wow people and there's how people, and we need both of them. But regardless, you're running your business. Everybody, every single day, they're getting up, they're running their business, they're establishing their personal brand with every single decision that they make. And the sooner we can become really self-aware and know what is it that gives me life, and how do I create a life around me so that I have more of that. That's abundant life.
Wow.
Right?
That's right. And that's the fulfilling. That's where the fulfilling comes in. Amani, you want to jump in? Do you want to say anything?
I am loving this so much. Y'all, if I'm not talking, you know I'm really enthralled. Sherry, I just love your story about the tree. Every time I see it, it just, now you've given me a new way to get warm in my heart. I'm like you. My entrepreneurial spirit's been there since I was young. I love it. It's just a different type of drive. You know, you really have to be in your own power and own everything you're doing when there's not a boss, when you are the boss.
Yes. Yes, exactly. It is, you know, it's rise and grind every day, but it's not in a negative way. It's you're being fueled, just like you were saying, you know, some of us you have to know what really fuels your spirit. That's how your brain's wired to work best. When we can align our lives that way, then we really can get better results in our life. We can, all of a sudden, what might seem impossible becomes possible. It's this is usually what stands between where we are and where we want to be.
Yeah.
And that's what's so cool about working with a coach, with NLP, things of that nature. It helps us to get self-aware faster and become really confident in who we are. Because I really do believe that, you know, when you think about insecurity, insecurity is less about valuing what you don't have, and it's about truly valuing what you do have. But we got to get clear on what do we have and really value that and step into it. And then all of a sudden, we can have a much greater impact on the world. So it's good stuff.
So when you're oh, go ahead. What did you say, Imani? What?
I said, it's amazing. And I love that you brought up when you become the observer of your own life, because that's such a fundamental step for change. When you detach from the outcome of some things, when you're watching yourself, like you were saying, Lori, when you're like, at that 2 mark, I was done. I wasn't the best. Knowing ourselves is so important, but being able to witness yourself without judgment is also really hard.
Yes.
But so powerful. So I love that, Sherry. Thank you.
Yeah. And what's really amazing is you mentioned without judgment, and well, I judged, you know, and now that shift that happened when I consciously recognized the date. I would go to bed that night, same person that I'd been, but I'd be like, oh, look at that. I've been at the job for, right? I wake up the next morning and subconsciously I had a bad attitude, or I started calling in to work more days than I ever did before, or I was 5 minutes late, justifying, oh, it's 5 minutes, I'll just make it up later. No, they don't want that. They don't want you to stay late 5 minutes. They want you to be on time, you know? And I was like, well, what does it really matter? 5 minutes, what can I really do in 5 minutes time? I mean, I started justifying my behavior was just, you know, and it was a subconscious thing. Like no matter how hard I tried, I would set the alarm to get up early, and I'd be like, I'm sleeping in, you know, and then it would get to, 10 minutes before I had to get up, take a shower, get in the car, drive to traffic. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I'm calling in. And it was like, I don't, and it was like, I wanted to give the best performance that I could, consciously, but subconsciously it was beating me down. Like, no. And so something else you mentioned just a second ago, Sherry, is when you're, and I guess it's a question for you, when you're your own boss, right? You mentioned the grind, right? You got to get up and get it going. And it's not a bad thing, but where do you think perseverance and desperation and obligation may all play into that, making you get out of bed in the morning instead of calling? You can't call in, right? And sometimes the lady in the mirror is meaner to you than your boss ever was. So, how do you, where does that come from?
So that's such a great observation too, because I really do believe that there are toward pain motivators. Okay. Like I just don't, I want to avoid this pain. So I'm motivated to do this because I want to avoid this. Oh, yeah. And then I think there's toward pleasure motivators. Yeah. The one thing that I see in common with high performers I work with, certainly as being an entrepreneur, is I'm definitely more motivated towards pleasure. I call that a mission mindset. It is a mission mindset. There is a calling greater than yourself. And so it's not a rise and grind in a sense that because I want to avoid all this pain, but it's more of, it's a mission mindset. Like I've got to get up today and I want to run this, relay as far as I possibly can. I want to run this stick as far as I possibly can towards the mission, because there are people that I'm called here to serve. There's something that I'm called here to do. And so to me, that's a big one. And really what we're talking about though is it's a belief shift. And as you were talking about your own personal experience, that experience really helped you get clear on what your beliefs were, what beliefs were rational, and maybe what some beliefs were not rational, because our current rules are creating our current results. And let me write that down. Your current rules are creating your current results, because our beliefs that we're holding about ourselves, beliefs that we're holding about the world, whatever that is driving our actions and our results. And I know with a lot of people that I work with, they want to get different results by simply performing different actions. But that's not sustainable change. Sustainable change is when we really bust some beliefs that have been holding us back. And even being that observer and evaluating, what beliefs am I holding on to that are creating the painful results that I'm living with and complaining about every single day? And I'm creating that. Because the empowering thing is, if I let some of these beliefs go and maybe reword some of these beliefs, adopt some new beliefs, I can go create these phenomenal results at the same time. And so I think when you think about common denominators of entrepreneurs, we carry a different set of beliefs through the world, through our life. And it's not that we don't obviously have the same struggles, because we're human, but we have a different belief system. And when you shift beliefs, actions and results are almost an effortless outcome. The real work happens at the belief level. And so part of that is being an observer. Part of that's being self-aware. Part of that maybe working with a coach or someone that can help you, because a lot of time beliefs are things that they're so much a part of us, sort of like the fish swimming in the water, you know, they can no longer see it. It's so much a part of us. But that's where the real change has to happen, is at that belief level. And I will say, when I think about lessons learned for me in business for 20 something years, the biggest shifts have happened when I've had experiences that have busted some of my beliefs open.
Absolutely.
And opened those to change.
Absolutely. And, you know, there's some talking points you sent over. Of course, you know, the 10 lessons you've learned in 20 years of being in business, of being an entrepreneur. And, you know, we're going to try to get through all 10, but I mean, we're already touching on many of these already, but
for sure.
You know, the struggle is real and it's essential. It's like the number one thing that comes to mind when you're an entrepreneur. You have to have like alligator skin and a tough mindset. And, you know, for me personally, whenever I would fail, right, I perceived it as failing, either in business or as an employee, right? I'd have good times and be like, doing good, crash. Well, I had to stop judging myself, because who was judging me? Nobody. You know, my boss was telling me to get to work on time, but you know, he valued me as an employee and valued the work that I was outputting, you know, for their goals, but I wasn't aligned with it because it wasn't my goal. It was like, I don't want to build your business. I want to build mine. And I'm wasting my time here when I could be over here, and I need your money, but I don't want, you know, there was that internal struggle.
Or you believed you did.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the struggle is real, but you know what? The way I overcame that was to just like you stated, the struggle, it comes and goes, right? Like, so like ebbs and flows, like what your little outline here that I'm looking at, it ebbs and flows. And so it kind of reminded me that in order for me to get past that perception of being failure minded, that everything everything I'd been through was actually a success. I learned from it. I failed forward. Ebbs and flows was my way. It was a perception that came to me probably 2 years ago, where, you know, just like the ocean comes in and goes out, every day, no one is ever judging the ocean. Like, how come you only came in this far today? How come you went out that far yesterday? How come you're rough today? How come you're smooth today? No, what do? We put up flags and say, hey, it's a rough water. It's a red flag. Don't go in there, right?
Yes.
She's having a crazy moment right now. She's spinning out of control. That's a red flag. But on those green flag days when you can be out on the water and you're cruising, you know, just like the ocean, our emotions, our struggles, our challenges, they come and they go. And if you can just learn to ride the wave, like just, you can feel the ocean underneath you right now. Like you're on a boogie board and you're just sitting there. Yeah, man, I can do this. I can do this, you know, and an ebb and a flow. Forgive yourself when you're down and excite yourself when you're up, you know, just go with the waves. And I guess, you know, I'm a ocean girl. You know, I reconnect by going to the ocean. So ebb and flow just really makes sense to me. And, you know, I can feel the wave. I hope I can make you seasick, you know, I can feel it. I can feel it. But
Yeah.
you know what, like you say in your statement here, you know, fight it and you'll get sucked into the riptide every time you will. But roll with it, baby. We're just floating on the waves, you know?
Yeah, and you know, that's a belief that I really, that's so important that we challenge a belief that what we deemed an event that did not meet our expectation, when we deem that as failure, that's a belief that we're choosing, because an event is neutral until we give it meaning. Right, so maybe your P&L statement went like that, or you lost a client, or you didn't make a sale. That's a neutral event. We get to choose what meaning we give to that event. And the meaning we choose to give to that event is going to drive the outcome. So I send out Leader Tip Tuesdays every day to our leaders. And this week I took a picture of our dead tomato plant. Okay? It's a neutral event. It's a dead tomato plant. All it is feedback. It's feedback on what adjustments we need to make to meet the expectation next time. Right?
And gardener.
Exactly. I've got this plant thing going. But the whole idea is we get to choose what meaning we give to that. And struggle is not only real, it's essential.
Yeah.
Like, I love the quote, I don't know it exactly, but it's something like, smooth waters do not make for a good sailor. Emotional intelligence is only built by going through what we might deem as tough days. The struggle is essential. That's where you're gonna grow. That's where you're gonna reach out and learn. That's where you're gonna reach out to other people for mentorship and accountability. And so you're right, when that event shows up, which we could perceive as failure or struggle, we get to choose what we want to make out of that. Do we want to resist it and get sucked into that riptide, or do we want to lean into it and say, you know, we have 3 steps that we'll teach. When that shows up, when quote unquote failure shows up, if we could lean into it and ask ourselves, what is this here to teach me? What feedback did this give me that I didn't have before? Or what feedback did it affirm that I needed to hear a second time, apparently? So what's it here to teach me? What's the learning? Second is immediately move into gratitude. Thank you for the learning. Like, thank you for the learning. And then the third step is next, move forward, because we're all human. We're going to give meaning. You might have a moment where you're on the floor crying. I've had those moments. But the key is to stay there less time than you did last time. If you stay there, the longer you stay there, then the more you're depriving the world of the message that you have to share with them. And it really all is, so much of NLP falls into this, because we get to define the event. We can either, like what we're going through right now, you can define this as crisis. I'm so stressed out. I'm burned out, overwhelmed. It's a hot mess. You can use all those big words. Or you can say these are unique times. This is a challenging time we're walking through. We've got some opportunities to build our character. Right? It's all in how we're wanting to frame it. And an event is always neutral until we give it the meaning. And that's the power place. Really thinking about, especially when you're an entrepreneur, because if you get in your own head, right, and you allow that to be a setback rather than a learning, thank you for the learning, now let's move forward, you're only sabotaging your own success. That's it. So that struggle is, it truly is. It's not only real. You will struggle. I don't care. If there's somebody who's been in business for a day and they say they haven't struggled, they're lying. But it's essential. I would not be able to have the impact that I do today, or be at a place with our revenue that we have today, if I had not gone through the moments crying on the floor. That's the gift.
Yeah.
So it's real. It's very real.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean,
I love it.
I'm totally there. I mean, listen, and I'm going to speak to the audience right now. If you have ever struggled, or if you think you haven't struggled, then I want you to put a comment in the box. I want you to say in there, I have struggled, I have not struggled, because either way, you're right? It's about what you believe. If you believe you've never struggled, then you need to reevaluate, because even just coming up with that statement alone is a struggle, because you're deciding, if I put that I've struggled, then other people are going to see me in a certain way. So there's your struggle right there. It's about what other people think. But if you say, oh, I've never struggled, now people are going to look at you another way, like, you're lying. You're not in touch with reality. You need to be reevaluated,
It's true. I mean, right now, the people that are going to watch this may have their own proverbial pot of dead tomatoes, okay? Literally or figuratively. It's, what do you want to do with that? What do you want to do with that? And so, we've got a really successful business. We work with phenomenal organizations and great people. That didn't happen overnight. And I wish it would have happened faster than it did, but that's why I like to give suggestions and advice to other people to help them get there faster. But I will tell you, on Thursday, March 12th of this year, you should have seen our schedule for the year of speaking and travel and all the things we had planned. And within a matter of 20 minutes that morning, it was cancel, 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 or postpone, postpone, postpone. Now, Sherry 6 years ago would have interpreted those neutral events as defeat. Oh my gosh, the earth is flat. We're going to fall off. It's devastating, and go back into those big superlative words. And I'm not going to lie, my initial reaction, I did go there. But it didn't feel familiar anymore. It didn't. Like, that's not me anymore. To go to that place of victim and poor, pitiful me. Within that same 20 minutes, we had already pivoted. What could we do for our clients right now that they need more than ever, and that we wouldn't be able to do for them otherwise? And immediately we were putting together solutions for them, because we had a moment where we could show up now as true strategic partners. We weren't just training that you could cut. We wanted to walk the journey with you. But if we had not been able to recognize that belief, or, interpreting those events for the way that we did, we wouldn't have been able to create the outcome. Through this, we've actually grown. I mean, it's been so awesome. And one way I like to talk about beliefs, it's sort of like some of those clothes that you have in your closet. Like, if you've ever, maybe there's some clothes that you have in your closet that you've had for years. And maybe they fit back then, and maybe they were even in style. But if you were to put them on today, they probably wouldn't fit. And if they did fit, you'd probably look at it and go, what was I thinking? Why did I wear this jacket with shoulder pads, And I think beliefs are a lot like that. Like, a lot of beliefs that you might have had that served you 2 years ago, that's not who you are today. And to me, that is the indicator of success, that you're growing. When you try to go back to your old belief and it doesn't feel familiar anymore. It's not in style, it doesn't fit. And man, did we have that experience. So even through all of this, it could have been really devastating to us. And in all honesty, I did go there at first, because it's hard not to. We're human. Like, we got to allow ourselves to be human. But again, the key is you want to stay there less time than you did last time. That is a measure of success. How can we take this and turn it around and do things now that weren't possible before? And I think right now is a golden opportunity for entrepreneurs to show up in ways you're not going to have this opportunity a year from now. It's all in how we're going to choose to interpret these so-called neutral events.
Wow. Wow.
Mic drop. I told you.
Man.
Yeah.
Just you know, sometimes you go through life and you're focused on the struggle, right? You're focused on in survival mode. How do I get out of this? Got to get another job. You know, my business failed. I got to do this next thing. But, you know, somewhere along the line, you run into somebody who hasn't seen you in a while and they go, wow, look at all you've accomplished. Look at how amazing you are. You've changed, you've grown, you're different. And you're like, are you kidding me? I've had failure after failure after failure. I feel like, blah. I feel like a failure. And you're telling me I'm a success? Mm-hmm. And they're like, yeah, because I can see it. I can see all that these struggles have put into you. That, like, the struggle is the seed. And it's kind of weird because when you plant an apple seed, you expect to get apples, right? Yes. But when you plant a struggle seed, you actually get success. It's a different kind of seed that is put in the ground. And I think it's watered by your belief of what that seed's going to become. It's either going to become more struggle or it's going to become a success and you move to the next level. So it's the only seed you can plant where you can expect a different outcome.
Yeah, oftentimes that is true. And I think the other piece of, you know, learning, as I've reflected on being in business 20 years, and there have been the ebbs and flows, okay? Some days are better than others. So that's just the way it is. But is that you are the secret ingredient.
Yeah.
You. And again, it's shifting a belief that the earth is flat and you're going to fall off. You're not. You're going to get to the next horizon, and you got you to that horizon, and you'll have the wisdom to get to the next horizon. So I think I wrote this in my notes, but I had an aunt that I absolutely loved and adored. And her last name was Wisdom, and she was a kindergarten teacher, which makes it even better. I mean, can you imagine being taught by Miss Wisdom? But
that's awesome. Like, let's absorb that for a minute, because that's cool.
It is really cool, but we have lots of funny stories about her because sometimes her common sense didn't equal her book sense, you know. And one time she made a German chocolate cake and she forgot to put the German chocolate in it. And there's so much real here for entrepreneurs because, you know, you have a little more salt, a little more sugar, whatever, you still have a German chocolate cake. But if you forget the German chocolate, you've got a very different recipe. And what I want to say to entrepreneurs and to leaders, you are the German chocolate. Like, you are the secret ingredient. And it's so important to believe in that and stand firm in that, and knowing that whether you're at this job, or some of you found yourself, thought you'd be lifers at a certain job and now you're not, whatever, you're the secret. You're the secret ingredient. It's like, you're the one. And the importance is to truly value that and not try to be someone else. Like, you're more than enough. You're more than enough. And I've struggled with that. I mean, just being honest. I mean, I remember one time, I've gotten to work with NASA headquarters since 2007. And I remember a few years into working with them, I was sitting on a plane ready to head there, and I had massive anxiety attack. It was sort of like, what am I going to teach these people? They're so smart. What if I'm a fraud? You know, we all suffer from that imposter syndrome. And I have this thick Texas accent, and I'm just from a small town. And, you know, it's so easy to want to play small. But if we remember that we are the secret ingredient, we're more than enough. Like, be you. You're exactly what it needs. If an opportunity comes your way, you are ready for it and you are worthy of it. Take it. You know, like, if we would just stop playing small. Life is not The Price is Right, where someone randomly calls you to come on down, and lucky you. Go down. Like, make it happen. Believe in you, knowing that you're more than enough. You've been given that message and style, right? And it hasn't been given to anybody else. I can deliver my content unlike anybody else in the world. And not that other people don't have great content and they deliver it in a great way as well, and I can learn from them, but I don't have to compare myself to them. It's just really believing in that again, you're the secret ingredient in your recipe. And when we recognize that, but that kind of going all the way back, it goes back to challenge those beliefs. You're not just enough, you're more than enough.
That's amazing. And that's the message we all need to absorb and really accept. So many times we think, well, I'm not enough on my own. I need other people to help me in this business or to help me in this venture. And really, they're not called for your destiny. You're called for your destiny. So that's just so powerful. So listen, we got to take a quick break and allow our sponsors to say hi to everybody. But listen, during the break, I want you to ping your friends. Please let them know how powerful this conversation is. This is changing lives right now. It's changing your mindset. It's changing your perception of you. I know it's changing me. You've got, if you don't share this with somebody, then they're missing out. And if you really want to impact the lives of other people, you'll invite them right now during this break. Tell them they've got to see the second half of this show, because when we come back, we're going to continue this list of 10 lessons that Sherry has learned over the years that she's been in business. It is so insightful. There's so much wisdom here. And people pay her for this, okay? So this is real right now. This is real. This is free. So please get your notebooks, get your pencils, tag your friends, write your comments in the box. And, we're just blowing straight ahead. So if we don't get to the questions, don't worry about it. Sherry's going to be monitoring the comment box over the next couple of days. She's going to engage. She's going to answer your questions. So don't worry about it. Just put your questions down there in the comments and you know what? Get your questions answered, because this subject can change your life. I mean, it's changed mine. And we've only been doing this for just a few short minutes, and it's already blowing up every kind of disbelief I had in myself. And I hope that you're having the same experience. So we're going to cut to break, have our sponsors say hi. But when we come back, we're going to finish this amazing conversation. So please stay tuned and ping your friends. I'm serious. Go get them. Let them know. And we'll be back right after this.
This is Jessica Anderson with Faith Forward Nurse Aid Training Academy, and you are listening to Dunham Business Radio.
Hey, be sure to stay connected with the Dunham Business Radio Show by downloading the new Dunham Business Radio Show app, available now in the iTunes App Store and the Google Play Store.
Hi there, this is Lori Dunham with Dunham Business Radio. We won the 2019 Gray Bowl Show of the Year. We also got an award for community service, and I can't thank you enough for all of your support. We are on the next level, and we're going higher, and I can't do it without you, and I'm so grateful. Thank you so much, and stay tuned in.
Hey everybody, we are back. Thank you so much for staying tuned in with us here at the Dunham Business Radio Show. Oh my goodness, if you've not been listening, you have to go back and listen to this recording, because it's amazing. It's absolutely will change your life, right? The conversation changes your beliefs about you. It changes your beliefs about your circumstances and how to overcome. I mean, it just, absolutely amazing stuff. And I think I'm going to be thinking about this for months, years from now. Imani, what do you think? What's something that you picked up on that's really going to make a big impact in your life?
I'm the special sauce. I love that. It just clicked immediately when she said it. I'm the special sauce. And the other thing I really loved is Ms. Sherry was saying one of the fundamentals of NLP. There is no failure. There is only feedback.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
To hear that from her, it's like, that's the type of reinforcement I need to be hearing over and over, because when you're an entrepreneur, you have to stay in that mindset. I'm learning. There's no failure. There's only feedback. I'm learning. I love how she put it. It was much more eloquent than me, but just really is. I'm going to have to make a sign that says that I'm the special sauce. Hey, that's a great shirt, Sherry. Just saying. Sherry Yellin, I'm the special sauce.
Yep. Sherry Yellin yelled it. So, I mean, if you think about special sauce, right? Where's the one place we've heard about special sauce most of our lives?
Is it Wendy's?
McDonald's Big Mac.
Is it? I'm not a burger human. I knew somebody had this special sauce.
Right. But think about it. Just briefly, McDonald's makes this multi-layered cheeseburger. It's a cheeseburger. Ladies and gentlemen, it's meat and bun, right? With lettuce. There's not even any other vegetables. There's pickles. That's not a vegetable, right? It's a cheeseburger, right? And just like anybody else, they can make a cheeseburger. But guess what? It's the special sauce that makes it a Big Mac, right? Just blows your mind.
To quote my child when he was 5, Sherry, you just blowed my mind. You just exploded my mind. I mean, really, I was sitting here and I was like, I've got to write everything down. But then I'm like, no, I'm just going to watch this over and over until it sinks in.
Right. And this is going to go on the internet, so it is perpetually out there for generations. Sherry, you are impacting generations with your wisdom. And thank you so much for being so open to share. This show is amazing, and I really hope our audience is engaging and putting those comments in there, because lives are changing right now.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Sherry. So let's talk about probably the biggest thing for entrepreneurs, right? You could start a side hustle when you're still working, so there's that safety net, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm sure you may have heard this. You guys are serial entrepreneurs like I am. An entrepreneur, a true entrepreneur, jumps out of a perfect operating airplane and builds the parachute on the way down.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
What is that? That really kind of relates to calculated risk versus just jumping out of the plane without a parachute and saying, I don't have any plans for a parachute. Right? So let's talk about risk when it comes to entrepreneurs. And that's something you can't avoid, right? It's like breathing. You're going to have risk, but it's about how you calculate them and about how you navigate them. So talk about that. You can't avoid them. So talk a little bit more about that, Sherry.
Yeah. So there've been a couple of times where the risks were really big. One was obviously when I left my dream job and then so excited, and then you have your family member tell you they think you're making a big mistake. So that was a big risk for sure, in a way. But then at the same time, when you think about you're really the secret sauce, that means, you know what? You'll take your next step. The earth is not flat. You're not going to fall off. But about 5.5 years ago, I literally had prayed for a year. We had hit a threshold in our business, a high water mark that we could not seem to get over. And I literally prayed for a year for someone to come into my life that could show me what I couldn't see. Because I will say, another suggestion, don't go it alone. I love your thought of don't hand over your vision to somebody else, but at the same time, you have got to be in community with other high-performing people that are going to feed you and help you grow. So I thought, because here's the thing, if I could have passed that high water mark on my own, I would have done it already. And I couldn't see what I couldn't see. And mostly these beliefs we've been talking about, I couldn't even identify what beliefs were holding me back from creating different results. So I went to a training in Dallas, a friend of mine invited me to, and when the guy walked in to do the training, he's actually a business coach. I knew, there he is. That's the one you need to work with. So I actually booked a call with him the next week. Now, at this time in my life, I am a single mom, obviously self-employed, single mom with 2 teenagers. And I'm on the phone with him, and everything in my body knows he is the one that I'm supposed to work with. I need to work with this coach. And it was a $35,000 investment. So I was so convinced.
We're all holding our breath here, sir. We're holding our breath.
And so I said yes. Yes. I mean, I literally had been with this person for 3 hours, but I just knew this is who I needed to work with. I said yes. I felt so good about myself for making a decision, quick moving forward in faith. I love the way my coach defines faith. He says it stands for allowing in the how. So if you're here and you want to be here, that's faith, right? You're allowing in the how so that you close that gap. So I said yes, and then I woke up at 5 o'clock that morning, straight out of bed like this. What did I just do? I just committed $35,000 to work with this guy for 12 months, and what if he sells snake oil? I didn't know. And so just really quickly, after I'd said yes to working with him, I'd actually messaged one of his other clients through LinkedIn that I did not know, but this person had never messaged me back. But when I shot out of bed at 5 o'clock that morning, I looked at my phone to see what time it was, and that client had messaged me back on LinkedIn, and the message said, "You just made one of the best decisions of your life."
Ooh,
and it was almost like God saying, "I got this, like, go back to sleep." And I would like to say that our business doubled by working with him, or that it tripled, or that it quadrupled, but it's actually grown almost 7 times the size that we were.
Wow.
And here's the thing. I thought that when we started working together, he would look at my P&L, he would look at our business plan, our marketing strategies. We just worked mainly with this. It was this 3-pound bad boy, again, that needed to shift. And I love how you're saying, yeah, we're not just going to flail ourselves off the cliff. But you've got to step out in faith. Like, their risk is also an essential part. If you're here, your current rules are creating your current results, you want different results. Part of your shift in your rules is going to require risk. It's almost like the universe says, do you really believe in yourself? Do you really believe in the message you have to share with the world? And there's an element of stepping out on faith. Now, I still work with him, and I would love to say today that it was a $35,000 investment, because his price has gone up a lot. But I will say to you, as entrepreneurs, you have got to continuously invest in you. You have to. You can't expect other people to invest in you if you're not willing to make an investment in yourself. In other words, you're not in an integrity if you're asking other people to do what you're not willing to do. And, I do a lot of coaching, and I'm pushing people, and I'm asking them to take risks, and I'm asking them to make a big investment in working with me. And I'm not in integrity if I'm not willing to do the same thing for myself. So risk is a big piece of it. But again, going back, it's all in risk in itself is neutral. What meaning do you want to give to it? What meaning do you want to give to that risk? And realizing that you're more than enough, and that it's learning. And, you know, there have been other times, obviously, where I made investments and it didn't have that same phenomenal return. But that was just feedback. Thank you for the learning. Got it. Won't do that again. Like going into partnership with someone. One of my favorite quotes is Dave Ramsey, who says, the only ship that won't float is a partnership. So, I've done that a couple of times and that did not work well. But it's okay. It's all in how I want to look at it. I get to look at it as feedback, learned some valuable lessons. I got better, and then you move forward. So risk is a big piece of moving forward in faith. It's important. It's big reward, high reward, high risk sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's knowing that you, again, the earth is not flat. You're not going to fall off. You're the
awesome.
one that was essential to getting to the horizon. You'll get to the next horizon. So that's been a big lesson learned as well, is how important it is to invest. And even today, I run mastermind groups. So I'll have people that are entrepreneurs, coaches. They come on board and they work with me for 12 months. That's taking a risk. It's investing in them. But look what they have. They have that accountability. They're surrounded by high performers. That's super important because mindset is everything. And if you want big results, we've got to keep you in a big space to get there.
That's absolutely right. Man, the stuff that you are dishing out is so good. Sherry.
Whew. But I will tell you, it's a risk. Obviously it's scary because coming straight out of bed in the morning, some of us, all of us in some way or another have had that experience. Like, what did I just do? But it is an essential piece of your business, is staying connected with people. I would say, I don't care what title you have. I don't care what industry you're in. We are all first and foremost in the relationship industry. And part of your success will depend on your community. Who is it that you are learning from and investing in and continuously growing? Almost like an insatiable appetite for learning and growing.
It's absolutely amazing. So if somebody is ready to take a step and walk out onto the ocean, all right, start walking on water, I could come up with so many metaphors, right? So many analogies.
And I love metaphors because I'm a recovering English teacher.
I'm a recovering control freak. It's nice to meet you. But listen, if somebody is ready to, find out what they're really made of, right? And to reevaluate their belief system, to reevaluate what meaning they're giving to situations, to struggles, to risk, identifying the real inside secret sauce. How can they reach you to work with you?
Well, the quickest way, we obviously have our website at sherryyellin.com. You can go there and see what other clients we work with, and there's some cool stuff there. The quickest way is probably, we have a private Facebook group called Unforgettable Design, and that's where I do a live training every Monday morning at 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern, and that's the quickest way to really get into a community of other entrepreneurs who are learning how to really design unforgettable experiences for their clients. So that's the quickest way, but then you can jump to my website, sherryyellin.com.
That's amazing.
And yeah, so I would,
how long are your programs?
It is a family. I will tell you, if you join in that group, you are instantly family. So much sharing goes on in that group, and I'm just so honored to I just sit back and just kind of make sure everybody stays moving in the right direction. So it's a blast.
How long are your programs? Do you have different intervals, or are they all 1 year?
So that one is a year. I do have different packages, but as far as coaching engagements, and I would say this to anybody working with a coach, do not do less than 6 months. I think it is essential that if you're going to commit to a coaching program, whether that's with me or anybody else, that you commit for 6 months. And the reason is things may get worse before they get better, because you're changing, right? You're shifting. And I have a daughter who plays college softball, and through the years, we've taken her to different hitting coaches. And every single time they change her hitting style, her batting average goes down before it goes up. And that's really true for a lot of us. When I started working with the coach I mentioned, this kind of happened before this happened. And it's knowing that I'm going to give myself a little bit of time and realize that. So I would say take 6, if you're working with a coach of any kind, 6 months would be the minimum.
It's a minimum investment. It's not a risk, it's an investment.
It is, thank you. It is an investment that has returns in so many areas of your life. You walk away different, and then that impacts it's the ripple effect. I mean, it impacts every single area of your life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Sherry, thank you so much for being on the show. You've just given so much. I can't even tell you all the things I've learned. I know that I am changed, literally. I'm going to end this show and I'm going to walk away being a completely different person. I have so many different perspectives. I'm going to go hug my failed tomato plant and say, thank you for the feedback.
Thank you for the lesson.
I need to water you more. I need to talk to you more. So thank you for that perspective alone. I'm going to be a better gardener for you. So, I'm going to call it the Sherry Garden. It's going to be life-changing. Imani, anything last thing you want to say to our audience or to Sherry while we're here?
I just want to say it's the first time I've ever been the oddball for having a live tomato plant in my garden. Never happened before. Sherry, I loved, I'm going to jump just kind of back to the beginning role. When we were talking about have to, one of the biggest mindset shifts I ever did was going from have to get to. Mm-hmm. I have to walk the dog. I have to do the dishes. I have to go to work. No, I get to wash the dishes. I have running water. I can afford soap. Yes. I have a body that allows me to do that. I get to walk my dog. There's a finite amount of times that I'm going to walk this dog, right? So that shift from have to get to is so huge in mindset. And I love that you brought that up, because that is just one of the biggest takeaways that makes the biggest impact in your life forever. Because I get to.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Absolutely. And we had mentioned this before we jumped on, but this is just a message that we share constantly with our group. It's written on a board in my office. And I want to say to every single person that's out there, really with that mission mindset. And it's this: God has given you a message and a style of delivering that message that has not been given to anybody else on the planet. And so honor that gift no matter what. No matter what. Stand big in that gift.
That's amazing. So, I think I'm going to make that a video clip and put that as part of the event announcement. That's so good. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll just clip it for myself. Maybe I'll just, play it for my alarm clock to wake up every morning. I'm going to find a way to make that in part of my daily life. That's amazing. Yeah. Ladies, I really appreciate you both. Listen, continue to put your comments in the box, because like I said, Sherry's going to be monitoring that over the next few days. So, engage with her. That's why she's here, right? She's giving of herself. So use that time to get your questions answered. Engage with her, jump into her private Facebook group. Hire her to change your life. This is your opportunity. It reminds me of the story of the man who was involved in a flood, and his house was flooding, and he kept going up to the top of the roof. The more the water came higher and higher, and he got to the roof, and he kept praying, God, help me out of this. And so a rowboat came by, and he's like, no, I'm waiting on God to save me. And then a motorboat came by, and he said, no, I'm waiting on God to save me. And then a helicopter came by, and he's like, no, I'm waiting on God to save me. And he ended up flooding and dying and drowning. And he get to heaven, and he said, God, I thought you were going to save me. He was like, what else am I going to do? He sent you a rowboat, he sent you a powerboat, he even sent you a helicopter. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this day, right now, today, Sherry Yellin is your helicopter. Get on board, change your life, make a ripple effect, and change everyone else around you. If you want to be a guest on the Dunham Business Radio Show, remember to send us an email, DunhamBusinessRadio@gmail.com. Until next week, ladies and gentlemen, stay on top of the world. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the Dunham Business Radio Show. Be sure to follow us at Dunham Business Radio and check out DunhamBusinessRadio.com for more info.
I'm on top of the world, now I'm living, and the good just gets better, keeps on giving. Not even close to the end, it's just beginning. Life is getting lighter while the days are getting brighter, yeah. And it's a